What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P, and we are back once again. Matter of fact, we back like we never left. Motor City Don P on the mic like he was never chef. Oh, I can get sick like it's Wyclef. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. But I'm just gonna tell you that it is Motor City Cats being back at it. We came to give you stats and not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic, and we are going to get into it today. We got some things that we got to talk about. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. We got some things that we got to talk about. What up, though, Mary Smith? Today, we're going to be talking largely about Detroit Lions rookies. We're going to be talking about some rookie mini camp preview. This is what we're going to do today. And also there's some news that came out about the Isaac Tesla pick, right? So we're going to talk about that news, and we're going to see how you feel about the trade. I don't think the player is the problem. I don't think any of that. Obviously, we can see the traits that he has. We can see the athleticism. We can see that, he's big, strong, fast. He's a hands catcher, doesn't drop balls and things of this nature, pause. But we understand what was given up, and many of us don't like what was given up. And I'm not afraid to say it. When I saw what happened, if you were here with me on the draft, you understood my reaction when they made that trade up and they gave up all of that stuff. I just rose to my feet. I got in the Cat Williams stance, and I was like, yeah, we're going to, line up across that line, boy, and then we'll see what happens then. I literally did that. I said that. And then they drafted Isaac Tesla. I think Mike Green was on the board at the time. There were some other people on the board at the time. Landon Jackson was on the board. I thought we were going to trade up to get our edge rusher. That's what I thought we were doing. Gave up all those assets. And that's not what happened. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to get into the Detroit Lions rookie mini camp preview. Now, we've got an article here from Detroit Lions on SI. Shout out Christian Brewer. It's the Lions 2025 rookie minicamp storylines. The Detroit Lions will host their rookie minicamp this weekend, allowing Coach Dan Campbell to get his first opportunity to work with the new group of young players. Who are you guys most excited to see? That is my question. In the event, or I'm not trying to sound negative, so I gotta pick somebody. I'll get back to you. Okay, I'll get back to you on who I'm picking. Look, this draft, as I've said, this is a draft of depth. It was a draft in the trenches, and we didn't get an edge rusher. So my excitement about this draft is not there yet. My excitement about training camp and just, seeing the guys that we already know and love, and the guys that are already on the team, and the guys coming back from injury, and those guys being healthy. My excitement is more so there than really the rookie mini camp. I'm just okay. I'm not excited. I'm sorry. I'm just not. But we'll talk about it. All right. So both the team's draft picks and group of undrafted free agents will begin to learn the scheme for the first time with instruction from position coaches. Okay. So, was it Jacoby Keeney James? And then we got Lovett. Jacoby Keeney James ran a 4.37, but we have J-Mo, who probably could run a 4.1 something. 419 maybe, right? I don't know. Okay, I'm just not excited. Just bear with me now. It's okay. It's okay. We didn't make a lot of sexy picks. Pause. We didn't sign a lot of sexy players. Pause. So I'm getting through it. You guys, you are with me as I'm coming to terms with everything that's going on. Okay, this is the roller coaster that I am on right now. We got Marcus Davenport coming back from injury. I'm excited to be wrong, right? I'm excited to be wrong. That excites me. I'm like, ooh, Marcus Davenport is going to play 15 games, 16, 17, and he's going to be available for all 4 games of the playoffs, and he's going to be the Super Bowl MVP. I'm excited to be wrong about everything that I've said about his health and ability to stay on the field. That excites me. Okay. So objectively, we're gonna keep it pushing. So additionally, the 3-day event doubles as a job interview for tryout players brought in by the organization. Here are 3 rookie minicamp storylines to follow throughout the weekend. First impressions. The biggest part of rookie minicamp will be a first look at the rookie class. Detroit's 7 draft picks will get their first chance to work with the coaching staff, both in the meeting rooms and on the field. Headlined by first-round pick Tyleik Williams, all of the players are expected to participate, barring any unforeseen injuries. As a result, the coaching staff will get an opportunity to evaluate their skill sets in individual and walk through team sessions. So again, that's something to be excited about, right? Nobody being injured, right? Because we have a history. We know Brad Holmes' track record. He does draft injured players. This draft, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. This draft, I don't believe anybody had an extensive injury history. Last year, if you remember, Ennis Rakestraw did not go through the pre-draft process because he had to have surgery on a core muscle. He had core muscle surgery, so he missed pretty much everything. And he had a history of soft tissue injuries anyway, and that cropped up. I think he got his hamstring injury during training camp, and he never was able to really fully shake it. And then later on in the season, again, it cropped up. Hamstring injuries kept him off the field, out of games. I think he might have been on IR briefly. So it was just one of those things. So this season, this draft, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we have anyone with any major injuries or any nagging injuries or a history that, raises an eyebrow like that. All right. So because practices are not live, there will be no contact. However, they can begin basic installs to help the players get up to speed for organized team activities and training camp. The biggest task for the rookies will be navigating all the information that they are given in a short amount of time and translating it to good performance. Now, I'm not sure as far as the linemen that we have. Obviously they're going to get information about the scheme. If you look at Tyleik, he's going to get information about the guys going to be playing, the technique he's going to line up in, or they're going to line him up in multiple techniques and things of this nature. They can show him that stuff. Now, the person that's probably going to have the most challenging, or I'm not going to say the person, the people that are going to have the most challenging time at rookie minicamp are going to be the Isaac Teslas and, Lovett and Jacoby Keeney James and Jackson Meeks, the receivers. 1 second. Just got this notification. Got to get rid of some stuff. Hold on. Got to get rid of some stuff. All right, give me 1 second. One second. Okay, that should do it. Okay. Um, so the receivers who are getting their first look at this scheme, first look at the playbook and things of that nature, they probably have a bit of an uphill climb. We know that Benedict Johnson or Osama bin Johnson's offense was very intricate, very difficult to pick up, and we understand that it wasn't just his offense. There was a lot of input from Dan Campbell. There was input from Johnny Morton, who is now our new offensive coordinator. So this is going to be something I believe that is going to be the most kind of difficult to navigate. Now, as far as the linemen and things of that nature, I don't believe that is going to be too tough for them. The information that they get should be easily digested, and they should have a better time. But also, what's not going to be beneficial to the linemen is the fact that they're not live, right? So they're not really actually going to get any reps in doing what they are supposed to do. You can simulate these reps and the walkthroughs and things of that nature, where the hand placement should be, how you should fire off the ball, where's your first step supposed to be, what is your assignment on this type of play, that type of play in the third. So it'll be beneficial for everybody, but obviously if you're in the trenches, the most beneficial thing for you is going live, doing the blocking, doing the block shedding, all of these things, your pass rush moves, all of that stuff that you get to do live against another person. Right. Okay. So cross training offensive linemen. So we talked about offensive linemen and talked about defensive linemen. So Holmes has voiced his desire to for the team to cross train both of the offensive linemen the team drafted, Tate Ratledge and Miles Frazier. This could come with some initial hiccups due to both spending prominent time at guard in college, though Frazier does have starting experience at both guard and tackle spots. The Lions return for their five starters, with the lone vacancy being at right guard. Ratledge played all but 4 snaps in his college career at right guard, making 36 starts in his final 3 years at Georgia. As a result, he could be an ideal fit to take over the position if he displays the capability. However, Detroit also has second-year options, Christian Mahogany and Giovanni Manu, who will compete for reps. As a result, maximizing the versatility of these young linemen will be beneficial in order to give the Lions options with their depth. It will also be interesting to see if the Lions display this cross-training approach to their undrafted free agents, including Mason Miller and Leif Fotanu. Miller was an FCS All-American at North Dakota State as a tackle, while Fotanu was a center at Arizona State. So, again, cross-training, while it's beneficial for the linemen, I don't think it's a make or break situation. Like, if you're really good at guard and we just got to wait to get you on the field because your depth, you're not really beating out anyone else, and then you're terrible at tackle, I don't think that you're going to not make the team, right? If you're drafted at guard, you're going to be a guard. Brad Holmes did also say, it's like, okay, well, if you play guard, then, Hank Fraley is going to put a ball between your legs, pause, and see if you can snap it. So can you be a backup center? Can you be versatile like that? Can you be a Graham Glasgow? Now, if one of these players excels at that, okay, here's something to keep an eye on. If one of these players excels at guard and center and he's a rookie, are we looking at a Graham Glasgow replacement? Obviously, everybody wants to replace Graham Glasgow because he was, he had a pretty bad season last year. Old or age, injury, whatever it was, he just didn't perform up to what we became accustomed to seeing him perform. So because of that, people are probably going to have their eye on whoever it is. What are Mason Frazier or Mason Miller, Frazier, Lee Fatanu. So if someone comes out as a surprise, oh, he can do both of these things, then the fan base will probably be clamoring for Graham Glasgow to get cut. But again, cross training, while it's good, I don't think it's a make or break situation. If you're a guard and you can't play tackle, you just can't play tackle. If you're a tackle that can't play guard, you just can't play guard. It's going to give you, especially if you're on the fringes, if you are an undrafted free agent, or if you were drafted later on in the later rounds, 5, 6, 7, and you want to make the team, being able to do multiple things, your versatility will help you make the team. But like I said, if you're really good at one position, then you're just really good at it, and you got to kind of beat someone out in training camp. And if you can't, then you'll be man number one off of the bench. You'll be next man up. All right, next training camp standout. The Lions have a history of identifying strong undrafted free agents who fit their style and compete for the spots on the roster. Detroit has kept at least one free agent from every class on the initial 53-man roster at the end of training camp. Okay, and it's always the guy that we fall in love with. What was that receiver's name? It's not Eddie Drummond. Obviously, we had Eddie Drummond back in the day. He was a kick returner. Is it Dylan Drummond? I think it was, from Eastern Michigan. Oh, he was the training camp darling, and he was, oh my goodness. And then when it came to the preseason and he got on the field, yeah, he couldn't separate. He couldn't get the opportunities. So he's out of football. And then last year we had Caden Davis. You know what I mean? That's the thing that I'm looking forward to. Even with all the Isaac Tesla, situation going on, I don't think he's a Caden Davis. I don't think he's a Doris Fountain. I don't think he's any of those guys. I think he's much better than those guys. And for that reason, we got Timmy P. We got him. And obviously we got Amon-Ra and J-Mo and Leaf and all these guys. So I don't think that it's going to be such a focus like it was last season. Last off season during training camp, it was like, oh, who's going to be wide receiver number 3? Oh my God. We don't have one. Leaf is not a real wide receiver number 3. He's a gadget guy. Oh my God. Right. It was a big topic of discussion last training camp, but we're not going to have that this year. And that is great. So, shout out to Brad for that. That's what other position are we going to be freaking out about? We'll see when it comes to training camp. Because of this, there will be plenty of attention on Detroit's crop of free agents this year. There are plenty of intriguing options in this year's group, including Miller, Syracuse wide receiver Jackson Meeks, and Indiana tight end fullback Zach Horton. Detroit has also not hesitated to sign rookie minicamp trial players who impressed during their on-field drills. Last season, a pair of players stood out and earned training camp invitations. Both players, Caden Davis and Parker Hess, or Hess, I believe it's Hess, impressed in training camp, with Hess making the final roster. With how much competition the Lions desire at each position, it wouldn't be surprising to see the team add another option from its pool of tryout players heading into training camp. So this is, what we're going to look forward to when rookie minicamp comes up this year. Of course, I'll be talking about it when I do probably my live on Friday, and then we're going to talk about. I'll do videos, obviously, with the updates coming out of the mini camp, and then probably the Monday, after the mini camp, then we'll talk about it on another live. So you're going to have 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, with rookie mini camp content. So strap in, stay tuned, and get ready, because it is here. It is coming. All right. Make sure you guys smash that like button. And if you are in the chat and you can't chat, you want to chat, It's because, only the subscribers get to chat. So if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. It is very quick, very easy, and then you can start chatting right away. If you have some comments, some concerns that you want to get to your boy Motor City Don P, I will address them. You know how I do. I read them all. I talk about them. Unless you're an asshole, then I'll just kick you out. All right. So the next topic is it is what we talked about before. Isaac Tesla, the trade that happened to get Isaac Tesla. Did you enjoy the trade? Did you not enjoy the trade? As I've said, as you know, if you were with me for the draft, you know what I did. I literally was out of my seat. I was like this. I was in my Cat Williams stance. I was like, yeah, let's get up on the line, boy. And then we'll see what's what. And then Shannon Sharp was like, wow. No. There was no Shannon Sharp here with me because you can't say that I tried to spell rapper without a P, did he? Right? Can't say that about me, but allegedly other people, you can say that about. I did not like the trade. As I said, I did all that. I was so excited. I thought we were going to go ahead and get our edge rusher at that point in time. I was waiting. And then we didn't get him, and we got a wide receiver. And along the way, getting a wide receiver, and to be quite honest with you, I did not do any work on any wide receiver for the entire pre-draft process. And the reason was because I didn't think we needed one. Okay? So this is just my take on the trade in itself. The player that we got is not someone that I dislike. The player that we got is not someone that I want to fail and, I want to root against him or anything of that nature. No. The player that we got. Now we'll talk about it. I believe that there's extra pressure on that player, and we'll get into what is said about it. So it says insider reveals motivation behind Lions' most controversial draft selection. This is from Sideline Report, written by Candice Pedraza. Shout out to her. So it says we're about to enter about 3 weeks post NFL draft, and the news cycle at this point has slowed down significantly as it pertains to the league's most significant draft fodder this year. For the Detroit Lions, that just doesn't seem to yet be the case, especially since they took a swing on one of the more intriguing prospects in the process, much higher than analysts had expected them to. Former Arkansas and now Lions wide receiver Isaac Tesla continues to rise some. And if you're wondering, I said every time I say his name, I'm going to say it that way. Because there's been Tesla, there's been Tesla, there's been Tesla. So I'm just going Tesla. That's his name to me. All right. Continues to raise some eyebrows from analysts. After Detroit traded 2 third-round picks for a player with only 28 catches in 2024, some people are going, wait, no, they gave up 3 third-round picks. No, they didn't. The pick swap is not really giving up a pick. It's just a swap of picks, right? So whenever you hear me talk about a trade, the pick swap is not a, you know what I mean? It's like if you're in the first round and you move up in the first round, it's like, oh, you gave up 2 and you give up next year's first round. So then it's like, oh, you gave up 2 first rounders. No, you didn't give up 2 first rounders. You just gave up next year's first rounder because you were swapping picks with the team. You're trading up to get their spot. If you're at 28 and they're at 15, they accepted your 28. You took their 15. It's not a trade of first round picks that you gave up and you didn't get anything of equal value. You actually got something of more better value. So anyway, that's just how I view the swap. I don't look at it as part of a trade. It's a thing that's going to happen. That's why you're trading up, because you want that pick. All right, so 2 third-round picks for a player with only 28 catches in 2024. They added some depth to the position with the selection surrounding Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams with some help. But how much help will a projected day 3 pick realistically offer the Lions offense? In his latest intel piece for ESPN, senior national NFL writer Jeremy Fowler explained that one big reason for why TeSlaa ended up rising so far in the draft was that he sees 2 bowl appearances, one at the Hula Bowl and another at the Senior Bowl, to show out and prove to teams like the Lions that he could end up being a draft steal if utilized properly. TeSlaa's push to be in Hula Bowl, Senior Bowl show rookie is ready to get to work in 2025. Fowler wrote that TeSlaa had to scramble to get invitations to both the Hula and Senior Bowl prior to the NFL Combine, where he performed well enough to land on some teams' radars. Then his combine performance, where he ran a 4.43 second 40, really put him over the top. I didn't know. I thought the Hula Bowl was something that you played in as a team. I didn't know it was an All-Star Bowl. I don't listen. If you're talking to me about something that's not the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, you know what I'm saying? Like the big bowls, the ones that they use for national championships and in college playoffs. No, you talking to me about anything other than that, bro? I couldn't tell you. The Senior Bowl, obviously, I know what the Senior Bowl is. The East West Shrine Bowl, we know what that is. But the Hula Bowl is something now that it's new to me. I didn't know you had to get invited to that. You know what I mean? I thought it was a bowl that you played in Hawaii and 2 teams did it, but apparently it's not. It's one of those aggregator bowls, and they get a bunch of players from different teams. All right. So once teams started to see him up close, they scheduled interviews with him and did their research on why he didn't get the ball at Arkansas. It wasn't because of attitude or work ethic issues. His personality shined in the process, becoming Detroit GM Brad Holmes' favorite player in the draft. Some attributed his low production in college to lack of communication and inexperience at quarterback, wrote Fowler. Fowler also drops that both the New Orleans Saints and Buffalo Bills were interested in snagging TeSlaa, and those are 2 teams the Lions traded ahead of in the 3rd round. Detroit has had a knack for drafting players less known in the pre-draft process. Perhaps TeSlaa will turn into one of those picks, especially with a more established quarterback and offense in place for him to thrive within. One thing is for certain, after this report, TeSlaa is ready to work hard to etch a role on this team, just as he worked hard to end up in those pivotal bowl games. So, basically, Isaac TeSlaa was picked because Brad Holmes had some insider information that 2 teams, and I think even 3 teams, had their eyes on him. So he traded up 32 spots to get him. Now the conversation is going to shift to, what was it worth it? Okay? Was it worth it? I want you guys in the chat. Okay, chat's been pretty quiet today. What up, chat? What's going on, chat? Where y'all at? Where y'all at, chat? We got a lot of viewers up in here. Not a lot of people chatting. What's going on? All right, Mr. Lupe Lion says, "What's good, sir? I hear going to start writing the contracts. I'm gonna start writing the Hey, I would love to. I would love to start writing the contracts. So I want you guys to tell me in the chat, like, what do you think is the type of production that Isaac TeSlaa has to have in order to justify the trade? Because the player in and of himself, he's a good player, but was he worth trading up 32 picks, giving up 2 both, well, not just two, but both of our third round picks for next season. Now, as it stands, we do not have any third round picks. Okay. Now, what you always could do, and I've heard this somewhere, and obviously this is not an ideal situation, but you could always trade your future third round picks. So, for example, we don't have any third round picks next year in the 2026 draft. So we just go, all right, well, we'll give you our third round pick from the 2027 draft. And now we have or, something of this nature. It's like we're using that to get into the third round here in 2026. Right. And then we would have to wash, rinse, repeat unless we were able to flip a player for an additional third round pick or, someone leaves in free agency and they sign a big contract, so we get a comp pick, or Coach Shep, and I said Coach Shep specifically, you know why, at some point leaves to become a head coach somewhere else, and then just like Aaron Glenn, you get two comp picks in the third round. Okay. If you guys don't know, when a minority coach leaves to become a head coach, then you will get two third round picks, one in each of the following 2 years. So far out of the ones that he did go up and get, there was only been one miss. So let's see. The one miss being Broderick Martin. And Giovanni Manu we're still out on Giovanni Manu, but there's optimism that he could be in the mix this season. When you're talking about competing against Tate Ratledge and Christian Mahogany for that guard spot. And he might even be able to play some swing tackle. He is very athletic. So he might get reps at the Dan Skipper role, even though I believe Skipper is back, but he might get some reps there to spell Dan Skipper or to learn the position. As Dan Skipper I think he's been in the league now 10 years. I think he's going into year 11. So he's been around a while. So he probably doesn't have, he's definitely closer to the end than he is to the beginning. So if you can groom Manu to fill his role, then he can be the replacement for Skipper when he leaves next year or the year after. But no one expects much of anything from Broderick Martin, which is why the whole Levi Onwuzurike being a cut candidate and PFF saying this because of Broderick Martin was ridiculously asinine. But what is the production? What kind of year do you see Tesla? And it doesn't even have to be this year. Eventually, for the assets to be justified, because now, whether you like it or not, okay, if you say, well, Brad Holmes hasn't missed but one time or whatever the case may be, that's great. But what is the type of production that you want to see from this player? Because again, whether you like it or not, they gave up a lot to get him. So now there's more expectation All right, we back. We back. So just an update. My computer is dying. Uh, hold on. Let me see. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. I think you can hear me. Yeah. All right. So my computer is dying. But I do have a new computer in the works. So hopefully that'll be here soon, and then it'll be a much smoother experience, and we won't have to deal with any of these crashes. Yeah, I just don't know how much. Let's see how much more of this is going to happen, but so we move on. So what we were talking about was the expectations. Now there are expectations for Isaac TeSlaa because we moved up 32 picks. As I said, if you stayed at 102 and you drafted him, no one would care other than if you said, all right, well, we could have got an edge rusher there. Why didn't we get an edge rusher there? Blah, 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 blah. That would have been my criticism of the pick, because I wanted an edge rusher and so many people wanted an edge rusher and we didn't address it. So then if there's one available at 102, which I don't remember who was available because I was done watching the draft by that point because we didn't have any more picks until day 3. So that would have been the criticism. Now your criticism is, since we gave up so much, what is the value that you think that he has to bring to the team? That's what I want to get. Mary Smith says, looking at his tape, he just needs some coaching. I think the GM did a good job. Right, but what does the coaching have to get him to? Does he have to be 1,000-yard receiver? Does he have to have 60, 70 catches per year? Does he have to have 5 touchdowns per season or more? What does his role in the offense have to be for you to feel like this is now justified with what we gave up? Said give him a year to get up to speed, then he has to start. So he has to start, like he has to be wide receiver number 3 in 2026 is what you're saying. Because he's definitely not going to be starting over Amon-Ra St. Brown or J-Mo. Now, here's the other question. He is a different type of receiver. He's bigger than J-Mo. He's more in line with Tim Patrick, right? So Tim Patrick's on a 1-year deal. If, let's say, they bring Tim Patrick back again after this season and TeSlaa doesn't play much, are you looking at it like another Teddy Bridgewater situation where they did that for Hendon Hooker, like they don't trust TeSlaa? Or do you just say, well, Tim Patrick just balled out and he continues to be valuable? Like let's say Tim Patrick plays another 2 years and then he retires. If TeSlaa can't beat out Tim Patrick, do you think it's a wasted pick? That's my question. Yes, Patrick replacement, right? So if he can't beat him out, is it a wasted pick? Is there still some value in it? Because when we talk about special teams, and okay, I understand making the team on special teams, but I don't value special teams that much. So if you are the key player on special teams, which stops a kickoff from being returned for a touchdown, if you are the key player on special teams that springs Khalif Raymond so he can take it 70 yards to the house, if you are the guy that returns kicks and punts and you can take it to the house, I feel like that's more of a value. Obviously, you're gonna have good blockers. You're gonna have good tacklers and things like that. I mean, there's value in all of these things. But for you to stand out to me, obviously, if we're watching special teams, you have to go back and look at the film and the tape to see what the actual value of that player was on any given play, because there's so much happening in a special teams play, right? There are people getting blown up on the other side of the field that has nothing to do with the play, and you didn't think it had anything to do with the play, but because now this guy took it to the house, and the guy that you blew up on the other side of the field might have been the guy that stopped you from scoring. So you got to go back and look at special teams plays because of all the chaos that's going on. Mr. Lupe says no. JMO took 3 years. Okay, so you're giving Isaac TeSlaa 3 years to pan out and see what he could be, which is fair. It's fair because we always look at a draft class in a 3-year window. I think everyone is down on Broderick Martin because the first 2 years he's done absolutely nothing. He has no stats. So you're not expecting anything from him. He's not seeing the field at all. Well, he's played in some games, but he's got no stats. That's the problem. Right. So if Tim Patrick balls out, then you're willing to wait on Isaac TeSlaa to give him some time to develop. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know. So there were some other things about this where there was someone who was in the Jaguars draft room because they traded up, I believe, with the Jaguars. And this person apparently had taken over for Brad Holmes in Los Angeles when Brad Holmes became the GM in Detroit. So there was some familiarity here. And apparently this facilitated the trade for the Jacksonville Jaguars to say, okay, we'll take your 2 third-rounders for next year instead of the Rams' second rounder, because apparently the Rams had offered their second rounder. But then I don't know what the familiarity would have been more so with the Rams because he worked for the Rams. Yes, he did like go after Brad Holmes or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know if I buy it. And then apparently there was an edge rusher or something that the Rams were looking to take, but he had got taken. So it basically was like it was an on the clock type of thing, and the Rams maybe backed out of the trade because I think the person that they were looking to take got taken in the 60s, like 66 or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. I don't know if I buy that the Los Angeles Rams were willing to give up a second rounder next year so they could draft someone in the third this year. I don't know if I buy that one. What up, though, Flying Hawaiian? You missed the first crash. You missed the first crash, but you all good, man. You are all good. So Flying Hawaiian, we're getting up to speed. To get you up to speed, we talked about the rookie minicamp, the battles that are or what we're looking for, and now we're talking about the TeSlaa trade. And basically, there were 2 or 3 teams that visited with him after he went to the Hula Bowl and the Senior Bowl, and he balled out there. So now he's on these teams' radars. So apparently what happened with the Lions, and this is according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, the Lions traded up to get him because they traded up above 2 or 3 teams that were now looking, or that brought TeSlaa in for pre-draft visits. So he traded up above them to snag him. So now my question is, what type of production do you expect from Tesla to have in order to justify all of the assets that we gave up to get him? Because it's like, my question about it is this, and I don't know. I'm trying to ask myself, what do I believe he has to do in order to justify it? Because what the value of the pick, the player, and did you need the player, right? So I'm guessing he has to show the fan base, he has to show the Detroit Lions that he's a player that can be featured within the offense. Like, people were trying to say like, oh, this is our Puka Nacua and things of this nature. So that's what he has to do for me. He has to be eventually second year, third year. Obviously the first year, we don't really expect much from him, you know, and that was one of my issues with the trade and the pick. It was like, you know, you traded all that for a player we don't need. What we need, pass rush help. Right? We need pass rush help. So this was a luxury pick to me. Okay? But then if it becomes a need, right? I never want to talk about J-Mo not being a Detroit Lion. That's my guy. Right? And with all the salary cap stuff that I talked about before, okay, about how these contracts get structured, and we went over the Kirby Joseph contract and how basically these cap hits aren't even really cap hits, and because it converted them to option bonuses, I don't see why J-Mo would not be a Lion. Right? Brad Holmes did come out and say, oh, well, wide receiver is expensive. Yep, I got it. They're expensive. But you also can structure these contracts in a way where it is not expensive, and you're only really paying for two people at a time, right? As far as cap hits, well, you might be paying six people at a time, real heavy money, but when you structure their contracts in this way, the cap hits and all these things. So let's say that that's the conversation that comes in. And, you know, now J-Mo is no longer a Lion. This guy is a Tim Patrick replacement, as we said before. But now, if you lose a talent like J-Mo, can he be Puka? Right? Can he be Puka? I'm sure that the LA Rams would love to have J-Mo, but they've got Puka. Right? Just like we have Amon-Ra St. Brown. But Puka, they let Cooper Kupp go because, yeah, they got Puka. And then they went and got Devontae Adams. And he's probably a one-year rental. And then next year they'll go out and get somebody else to pair with Puka. Right? Can he be that? That's my question. Mr. Lupe says, I think it's going to take Davenport to really flame out for Brad to actually look at the pass rusher spot. I mean, so Davenport is never going to flame out production wise. It's just that he's not going to be on the field. And Brad Holmes, you can't. So Brad Holmes, here's the thing with Brad. He doesn't factor in injury history when he makes a selection, but you got when it's smacking you in the face. Okay? When it's smacking you in the face. Just like you take a person and they're like, "Oh, this is a bad person." And you're like, he doesn't seem all that bad, and he just keeps spitting in your face. You can't ignore the fact that he's a bad person. He's spitting in your face unprompted. "Hey, Gerald, how you doing?" You know what I'm saying? Well, damn, Gerald, that wasn't nice. You know, like, Gerald's not a good guy. All right. So if you don't want to take into account the injury history, but it is smacking you in the face with Marcus Davenport, you have to take that into account. Emmanuel Mosley was a similar situation. Now, Emmanuel Mosley wasn't counted on to do anything, and that's why the Emmanuel Mosley stuff wasn't. It was like, should we re-sign him? Should we not re-sign him? Oh, it's okay, whatever. We re-signed him to a $1 million deal, veteran minimum, whatever the case may be. But he wasn't expected to do anything. Whatever you could get for him or from him was considered to be a bonus after the first injury. I'm sorry, after the second injury. Right? The first injury that he came in on, yes, you expected him to be able to rehab and get back on the field and contribute. But after he got on the field and played three snaps and he tore his other ACL, or I think, yeah, ACL, then when they brought him back the next time, you were like, okay. That we might have to see a similar thing with Marcus Davenport. Like, okay, he's got to have 2 injuries for us. I don't know. But the fact that he's expected to do something, the fact that he's expected to be the bookend to Aiden Hutchinson, that's the maddening part about it. Now, if they decide to go out and bring back Big Z, then nobody cares. Right? If you bring back Big Z, I'm just going to come sit here with a smile on my face like, we're going to the Super Bowl, boys. We're going to the Super Bowl. That's what I'm going to do. So wasn't Patrick a UDFA? Even if he wasn't, he's an old guy in the NFL terms. So while I don't expect Puka type production, he still has to outdo Tim Patrick. I hope he's up to the task. Dude, does he have to outdo Tim Patrick in year 1? That's the question. Mr. Lupe says, what do you think it'll take for Brad to actually look at the pass rush? I mean, I agree with you. I think, that's what I'm saying. Marcus Davenport, and this is, again, it sounds callous, and I'm not trying to make it sound this way. But Marcus Davenport would have to miss significant time due to injury. And this is, we're assuming, okay? We're assuming that he doesn't sign Za'Darius, right? Or not that he doesn't sign Za'Darius, because apparently the offer is on the table and the agent has to decide what he's going to do, right? So what you should hope for is that no pass rushers get injured during training camp. So then the demand is that then we don't have to enter into a bidding war, because I don't think that the Detroit Lions are prepared to enter into a bidding war for Za'Darius Smith. And then if they don't want to enter into a bidding war with Za'Darius Smith, and then we're just going to roll into the season with Marcus Davenport. And at that point, it would take Marcus Davenport to miss significant time. It would take Aiden Hutchinson to get 20 sacks and Josh Pascal and Levi Onwuzurike to combine for 3 sacks for the year, which is a little bit more than what they combined for last season, right? Last season, they combined for 2.5 sacks. So you would have to have that type of production from them. Hutch would have to have a monster year. And Davenport would have to miss significant time. That's when I think that Brad Holmes would seriously go, you know what? Maybe I can spend a first round pick. Maybe the guy's not going to be elite, because okay. Here's the other thing, right? Here's the other thing. I understand that Brad Holmes said, that he tried, and then there's speculation that, so he tried to sign Danielle Hunter, trade for Danielle Hunter. Then I don't even know if he tried to sign him once he became a free agent, because I think it was very clear that he wanted to go home to Houston. I think he gave Houston like a hometown discount so he can go sign there. You tried to trade for Max Crosby, but Max Crosby was never available. You tried to trade for Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett was never available. Now, he picked up the phone to call. Did he try to trade for them? That's a different story. You pick up the phone to call. You gauge the interest of the GM. What kind of draft picks? What kind of compensation are you looking for X player? Okay. So I understand that there's that speculation, and okay, if he says that he tried, great. But the thing is, like, we got an elite edge rusher in Hutchinson. I don't know why the fan base is so upset. It's like, oh, just go get another one. Yes, spend a first round pick to get an edge rusher. Whether he is elite or whether he's a solid player, you spend the first round pick to go get one. That's all I'm saying. Right? You don't wait till the 6th round. That's what we're all saying. So your question, Mr. Lupe, like, that's the answer. Like, he's not. We don't think that he really takes the edge rusher position seriously. But yeah, to answer that, yeah, I believe that, like, all of those things would have to happen for Brad Holmes to look at the pass rush. Let me answer your question, Flying Hawaiian. About Tim Patrick. Right, you are correct. He was not drafted. He was a UDFA. He was signed by the Baltimore Ravens as a free agent on May 5th, 2017. He later signed with the Denver Broncos practice squad on October 20th, 2017. And then, he did his thing and he got on the field with the Denver Broncos. But he probably had more college production than Isaac TeSlaa. Now, we know TeSlaa, he was in a situation where his quarterback was not good, and then that's why he didn't have a lot of production. Being that we traded up for TeSlaa, one would hope that he'd be ready to play out of the gate. So I don't know that he needs to be ready to play out of the gate because he was a 3rd rounder. So, and yes, you are right about the trade up, and that's my question. What do you expect for him? So you expect for him to play out of the gate. So, Flying Hawaiian, what's a successful season for him then to you? Like, if he's ready to play out of the gate, what kind of production do you want to see from him? Does it have to be 300 yards? Does it have to be 700 yards? Does it have to be 40 plus catches? Does he need 3 to 4 or 5 touchdowns? Like, what is that for you? What does that look like for you? Because like I said, for me, so now this is the thing, right? And here's why it's an important trade. When we talked about the pass rush, when we talked about Marcus Davenport, and we know Marcus Davenport's injury history, and you don't sign Big Z. And let's say Marcus Davenport goes down before the trade deadline. And I hope this isn't the case, right? But let's say this is what happens. He goes down before the trade deadline. Now you need someone else. You've traded away next year's 3rd round picks, both of them. So you can't use those in a trade at the deadline. So now what do? Do you have to overreach? Do you have to overextend yourself? Or are you going, well, we can offer you a third from 2027. Well, it's 2025. What can we do with that third from 2027? And the NFL is not like the NBA. You can't trade. Remember the Pistons, they got the number 2 overall pick, and they picked Darko Milicic, which is still the dumbest trade ever in the history of all sports, or the dumbest pick, sorry. But this was a pick that they had gotten like 10, 12 years prior. You know what I mean? So the NFL is not like the NBA in that you can just trade away a bunch of future picks. I think it's only a year or two in advance that you can trade future picks for. So if we get 600 yards and 4 TDs out of Patrick and 400-ish and 1 TD out of Tesla in spot play, I'd call that a successful rookie season for him. Okay. 400 and a TD. Not bad. So basically you're saying from the number 3 spot, we need 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. From the number 3 wide receiver spot. Okay. That's not bad. See, and maybe it's unfair. Maybe it's unfair. For me, I'm probably always going to look at Tesla through the lens of the pass rush. And I know it's not fair, but in some aspects it is fair, I think. There we go. Zach J says, can Tesla rush the passer? Because he needs to have 8.5 sacks for us. So as long as we have Marcus Davenport there and nobody else, okay. And according to my man Sterling Shee of PFF, Broderick Martin is a big edge rusher. Okay. So as long as all we have is Marcus Davenport on the other side of Hutch. Because don't give me Josh Pascal, don't give me Levi Onwuzurike. And here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up, Zach J. Here's the thing. There's something that I wanted to say and I had forgotten I wanted to say it, but I remembered it. So on Twitter, I've got a clip on LNU, got a lot of engagement. People were weighing in on it because of the article that we're talking about with Spencer Shee saying that Sterling, saying that Levi was a cut candidate, and he mentioned Broderick Martin as one of the reasons, and he misquoted his position, calling him a big edge rusher along with Josh Pascal. And I said that Levi is not a cut candidate, and it is pretty asinine, especially because you are mentioning Broderick Martin as doing anything or pushing anyone off of a roster. But the stat guys come on and they talk about pressure rates and the pass rush win rate and all these other things, and it's like, but I like stats because I came to give you stats and not none of that static, right? If y'all missed my freestyle at the beginning, go back, you know what I'm saying, later on. I was spitting a little bit, dropped a couple bars. But anyway, so I marry stats with the eye test. I don't think that stats can tell a story, right? They can tell a story, but they can't tell the whole story. And the whole story is what we're looking for. Levi, yes, okay, yeah, pass rush, win rate, and everything. That's awesome. Finish. Wasn't that the criticism on Hutch when he first came in the league? Wasn't that the criticism? It's like, oh man, he gets all these pressures, but and this was a season This was the season before last. Listen to this. People will talk about, oh, his pass rush win rate. Oh, that's great. Oh, he gets all these pressures. That's cute, but he's not getting the sacks. He had 11 and a half sacks that season. 11 and a half. And he was still getting killed by the fans, right? So now you got the stat guys talking about, oh, Levi, he had such a high, he had a lot of pressures. He had a high pass rush win rate. And I project him to get 6 to 8 sacks next season. Why would you project Levi Onwuzurike to get 6 to 8 sacks when he had 3 half sacks? And they're like, well, because Hutch was injured. One of his half sacks, remember that game against Tampa Bay when Hutch got credited for 5 sacks, but they took one half of it away and gave it to Levi? Hutch was on that field, right? Hutch was on the field getting 5 sacks that game. Hutch was on the field getting all those sacks. And how many was Levi getting? Half of one. Half of one. And it was because he happened to be back there touching the quarterback while Aiden was sacking him. So it's like, stats are cool, but you can't just base everything off of the stats. They say, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. Yes, numbers do lie. Numbers lie to you because they can give you a false sense of what you are seeing. That's why you have to marry the stats with the eye test. You can have someone with an amazing pass rush win rate. Oh my God, pass rush win rate is 50%. Oh my God, and he has 4 sacks on the year. No, that's never happened. But I'm just saying, if that happens, then you have to look at this. You have to look at what's going on. All right, he might be beating someone, but then he might be playing Lamar Jackson every week. So yeah, okay, he beats the guy, he beats his man and everything, but can he finish? Does the quarterback simply just step up in the pocket and make the throw and throw a 30-yard dart down the field? Oh, he's in the quarterback's face all game. Pressures are cool, but sacks are better, right? Because a sack is going to end the play. For sure, 100%. Once the sack is recorded, the play is over. And then you have to go on to the next play. And you generally have lost 5, 6, 10 yards, however many yards. But you lost a significant amount of yards on most sacks. Sometimes the sack happens where a quarterback is climbing the pocket and he gets back basically 1 yard, past or behind the line of scrimmage. And you lose a down in the yard. And that's fine because it's a sack. And it puts the play to an end. A pressure doesn't end the play. And depending on the quarterback that you're playing, a la the ones that we're playing this year, Patrick Mahomes, Jordan Love, which I saw something crazy on Good Morning Football yesterday, but Jordan Love, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. Those are the guys that we're playing this year, and you have to get them on the ground. Because if you pressure them, that's cool, but they can all step up in the pocket and do something else with it. Sacks are cool, but pressures that lead to picks are better. If it leads to Kirby Joseph snagging 9 more, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Right? Pressure that leads to something is fantastic, but pressure doesn't always lead to something. And that's the problem that I have with pressure stats. Because with pressure stats, then you also have to look at what else happened after the pressure. Did it lead to an incompletion? Fantastic. You did your job. You got him off your spot. You made him uncomfortable. Okay? When it's a third down, would you rather have a pressure or a sack? Branch is back there too. Yes. Look, we have a dog ass defense. We have a dog ass defense. But there are certain quarterbacks that I don't want them to have an opportunity to make a play. And all those quarterbacks that I just mentioned, I don't want them to have an opportunity to make a play. Because the quickest way to break down coverage is the scramble drill. Because now the coverage that you had has to adjust on the fly. And that's the easiest way to bust coverage. Trust me, I'm a former corner. a former corner and a former running back. Busted coverage happens on scramble drills all the time. And if you are pressuring him and he scrambles, then there's an opportunity for a big play. And there's also an opportunity for a turnover, right? It goes both ways. But if you're in the Super Bowl, I'd rather have a sack. If you're in the NFC Championship game, I'd rather have a sack because there's finality to that play. Zach J says most of the pressures that I see are QBs escaping the pocket and converting anyways. Give me the sacks. Right. Flying Hawaiian says, would you rather have them at 3rd and long or us at 1st and 10? Yeah. So what you're saying is if it's a turnover, I definitely love to have a turnover, but what's more likely? What is more like statistically? Now we're talking about statistics. It is more likely to have a sack than a turnover, right? The Denver Broncos last year had Patrick Surtain, who was the defensive player of the year. They had 63 sacks. Pat Surtain had, I think, 5 picks or something like that, 5, 6. Now, okay, so then that's the question, right? And I think what we're going to see from Coach Shep, I think you're going to see a spy because he's a linebacker. So I do think that you're going to see that. AG didn't like to use spies. AG would not spy the quarterback. Okay? Now here's my question. Flying Hawaiian, can you answer me this? If you're going to use a spy, if you're going to feature linebackers, because I've said, I was asked before, like, what do I think that Coach Shep is going to do differently? And I said, I think that there's going to be more linebacker involvement. You're going to see the linebackers featured more in this defense. And obviously one way that you can see linebackers featured, it can be in coverage. You could be blitzing them. You also could be spying them. So if you're going to do more with the linebackers, like I think that they are going to, why not draft Jihad Campbell in the 1st round? We didn't draft or sign a single linebacker in this draft and post draft. Am I right? Am I forgetting a linebacker that we drafted or signed? Yeah, AG wouldn't spy the QB, so every mobile QB cooked us. Right. Now y'all see why I love Jihad Campbell so much in the draft. I thought that he was going to be Coach Shep's J-Mo. Remember when Antoine Randall, when they drafted J-Mo and he came into the war room, he was like, yeah, right. He's thanking everybody. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was what we were going to get with Jihad Campbell. No, but I'd say we have capable LBs. Okay, we'll see. Now remember, if someone is going to play the spy, then that's a different role than what they've done, because AG for 4 years wouldn't spy anyone. Ah, yes, Stewart. What up, though? Just a fan, but Stewart's good though. Like, he is a special teamer, but he's pretty damn good. Remember when we played the Colts, he was playing on defense against us, and he was flying around the field. The scheme is not going to be different though. The scheme is going to be largely the same. Dan Campbell has said that he wants to keep the scheme the same, but there are going to be some tweaks, and that's why I was saying the tweaks, I believe, will be more linebacker feature, because he said that Coach Shep is already, as soon as he got the job, he was doing cut ups. He was going over cut ups like, oh, I like to do, like, in this situation, I want to be able to do this, and this. So they're going to keep the same scheme, but they're going to make, tweaks here and there. And whatever those tweaks are going to be, I think it's going to have to do with the linebackers. I think just like, AG's scheme was predicated upon the corners and the safeties, the secondary, right? Man coverage all the time, because he was a corner, right? So I think with Coach Shep being a former linebacker, we're going to see spies. We're going to see delayed blitzes. We're going to see a lot of stuff from the linebackers. And that's my point. If you're going to see those things from those linebackers, then you get a Jihad Campbell. I understand the need for Tyleik Williams. I understand the need. I understand why you get a guy. And I think here's a take. It might be high. It might just be a little bit warm. They talked up his similarities to Alim McNeill. Like, oh, this was eerily similar. This was eerily similar. This, that, and third thing. Even their demeanor. This, the way that they go about their business. Oh, the body type. Yada, yada, yada. Remember, I asked the question. I asked Easy, when do we start talking about Alim McNeill's injury history? When do we start talking about Alim McNeill's ability to stay on the field and stay healthy? Tyleik Williams very well may be a replacement for Alim McNeill somewhere down the track. I don't think it's going to be immediate. I don't think it's going to be in the first 2-3 years. But if Alim McNeill continues to not be available, I don't think he's ever going to enter the Marcus Davenport realm. But we'll see. He's a big man, and when you're big and you start getting knee injuries, that's concerning, right? So we'll see. But I believe that Tyleik, obviously in the immediate, he's a DJ Reader replacement, right? Because DJ Reader is getting older, and we've only got him under contract for one more season, and we'll have to see what is the health of Alim McNeill looking like. And with Alim McNeill missing probably the entire first half of the season, at least the first 6 weeks, I believe. Do you re-sign DJ Reader so you can have guys up front, because you brought in DJ Reader to pair him with Alim McNeill, right? So now basically, you're pairing him with Alim and Tyleik because the health. So this is what I'm saying. Heck yeah, looking forward to it. Love my OLBs and safeties, strong safeties. Zach J says, I thought we jumped the gun in signing Alim to an extension. So then that's the thing, right? Jumping the gun to sign him to an extension. I didn't think it was a bad thing. And then the year prior, he had missed 4 games due to, I think he had like an MCL sprain. So he tore his ACL very late in the year. And obviously there was like no indication that, I mean, it was a non-contact injury. It was a freak thing. He jumped up on one leg, came down on that leg and tore it. So I didn't really dislike signing him to an extension at the time. Just Fan says, without Mo, D-line moves. Oh, it should be more. D-line moves. I am not confident in Lions' success in the playoffs. Depending on who we play, as long as we don't turn the ball over 5 times, I think we're good. That's as long as we don't turn the ball over, I think we're okay in the playoffs. And Johnny Morton has said that one of his focuses is going to be on limiting turnovers. You guys remember, you remember what I said about Jared Goff. Okay, and this is not me bashing Jared Goff, so anyone who thinks I'm about to do that, just listen to what I have to say. Remember, I said the only problem with Jared Goff is punches in bunches. For whatever reason, when he turns the ball over, it's going to be a multiple time occasion. And I believe that he gets into his head and he's pressing now, right? Because he's such a competitor, because he's such a leader, he's eager to steady the ship and right the ship. So when he turns the ball over, he may then come out in the next series and force a ball into somewhere where he shouldn't have forced it into. So I believe the way that Johnny Morton is going to cut down on the turnovers is that if Jared Goff throws an interception or he gets strip sacked, I think for at least one series, you take the ball out of his hands, let him calm down, right? Let him get it out of his head. And you put the ball in Jahmyr Gibbs' hands. You put the ball in the David Montgomery's hands. You run the ball, you pound the rock, and let him relax, right? Don't have him just go back out. Like, you threw an interception. Now let's just get back on the horse and throw and throw to prove something, right? Like to prove, oh, we're going to win this game because of you. I think that that's the wrong approach. I think that's the approach that Benedict Johnson or Osama bin Johnson took, right? I think it was like, coach, give me the ball. Let me put it right back in my hands. Let me do this with it. And Ben Johnson did that. I think Johnny Morton is going to take a different approach. Zach J says, Goff better not turn the ball over 5 times again with what we just did with our O-line. As long as we don't repeat historic levels of injury, I think we'll be just fine in the playoffs. Ben Johnson tried to be too cute. Trick plays just because not sound. Trick plays just because not sound football, in my opinion. I think Dan is going to be more hands-on too. Right. So it's going to be interesting to see like how they run this offense. You know, again, the confidence that we have in Johnny Morton is 2 things. He was here when we designed this offense in the first place, and so he's familiar with the schemes and the concepts and the things that we like to do, and obviously he's going to put his own twist on it. He said he wants to see the big play, so that means he's going to have to design. He's going to have to design things to get either JMO open, one-on-one coverage down the field, or he's going to have to design things to clear out the middle so that you can have big yak plays, right? So Jared Goff throws a ball 5-10 yards down the field and the middle is so cleared out because of your routes and your concepts that Amon-Ra or Sam Laporta or Isaac Tesla is going to be, or Timmy P. But Timmy P, he can catch the jump ball. He can catch those 50-50 balls down the field. So these players are going to be able to eat in the middle, just eating up the yak. So this is the way that he's going to have to scheme his offense. And I think it's going to be fun to watch. And also the other reason that I have confidence in the new coordinators and things of this nature, especially on the offensive side, is that it's a plug and play offense. It's a turnkey offense. You have so many weapons. How can you not? Right? I've never designed an offense on the pro level. I've designed offenses before, but I've never designed it on the pro level. If you gave me this offense and you gave me time to look at film and see what Jared Goff does well and what he's comfortable with, he's great at play action and all these things, I probably could design an offense that is going to be top 10. You know what I mean? I probably wouldn't be top 3. You got to give me a couple years, to get my feet wet. But with the weapons that we have on this team, on this roster, on offense, it's as they say, it's idiot proof. You can't mess it up. Mr. Lupe says, I feel like towards the end of the season, defenses were figuring out our offense out. So it's a good thing that we're going to switch things up a bit. I think it was circumstantial. If you look at the games, like if you look at the 49ers game, that was a shootout, and we didn't expect it to be a shootout, right? If you look at the Bills game, the Bills didn't figure out our offense. They punched us in the mouth, right? And nobody was willing or able to get off the mat, right? So they came out and punched us in the mouth on defense, and then they punched us in the mouth on offense repeatedly. Okay? Once our offense started rolling, okay, their defense kind of looked like the defense that gave up all those points the week before against Los Angeles. But the problem is we were in such a deep hole by the time, and we couldn't stop their offense because the bane of my existence, Ezekiel Turner, just decided, I don't want to cover any running backs coming out of the backfield. I see the running back, but I'm going to follow this tight end who's not my responsibility, and I'm going to leave Ty Johnson wide the flip open every time. And Ty Johnson is going to have 200 yards of receiving out of the backfield, which is my assignment. At some point, I've got to freaking do something different. But no, I'm Ezekiel Turner, and I play special teams, not linebacker. And that's why I'm not going to diagnose the fact that they're doing the same damn thing every play. And this man has 200 yards receiving out of the backfield. So because we couldn't stop things like that, the hole that was too deep. Us going down 14-0, in the first two possessions, couldn't recover from that. And then Washington, the Commanders didn't figure out our offense at all. We were moving the ball up and down the field. We were about to go up 14-3. And if hopefully the newer people, you guys are here with me every week. We stream the games, we react live to them and everything. When that drive was happening before the strip sack, I said, if we go down here and go up 14-3, the game's over. Guess what happened the very next week against Philadelphia? Philadelphia went up 14-3 on the Commanders, and the route was on. Because I knew that the dam was going to break. If we go up 14-3, there, Jaden Daniels, he's this rookie phenom. We're going up 14-3. And stops were at a premium, and they weren't getting stops. Right? So Yeah, the empty backfield on third down, that a lot of things went wrong on that play. And I think without the things that went wrong on that play, you just throw it in the dirt, maybe throw it out of bounds. And then, but no, again, Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't slip on breaks. Some reason he slipped on the break. He was going to create lots of separation. And it didn't happen. It was Bobby Wagner was back there covering him. Bobby Wagner is old. He wasn't about to cover Amon. So what happened? Jared saw Amon-Ra on Bobby Wagner, and he's like, "Oh snap! This is a free first down." And then Amon-Ra slipped, and he panicked. And once he panicked, and then there was the missed assignment on the offensive line, and he got sacked from behind. He lost it, didn't squeeze it. You know. Flying Hawaiian says, by the end of the season, teams have a whole season of film on you. It's on the team to change things for the playoffs so they're not predictable. But that's the thing. I don't think they were predictable. We were not getting stopped. We were stopping ourselves. The Commanders' defense, what was the final score of that game? Was it 42-35 or something like that? Like the Commanders, the interceptions. Go back and look at the interceptions. The like the one where Mikey Sainristil undercut Jameson Williams. There shouldn't have been any. J-Mo had him beat. The ball was late, and it wasn't placed in a place where only J-Mo could get it. Right? So if you're a person that can be objective, and at this point, just be objective and go back and look at the interceptions. Look at ball placement. Look at timing. Was it because of the defense? Or was it just a bad game? Did we just, listen to what I said. Mikey Sainristil, who shout out, Michigan Wolverine. Mikey Sainristil being within 2 steps of Jameson Williams is unheard of. It doesn't happen. Unless you throw a late ball or the ball play. Like he undercut J-Mo and picked that off. He undercut him, which means the ball was underthrown. J-Mo had him beat. The only way that he was able to recover is because J-Mo had to slow down and wait for a late ball. It's just the facts. It's what happened. It's what happened. And I don't know. I don't think that we can't stream a game. Because you can't actually show that stuff on the screen. But I don't know if you can even do plays, like individual plays. But if we want to go back and watch all of the turnovers, we can do that. I just know I'm going to lose some subscribers and things of this nature. Justin Fan says, bottom line, Lions lost. That is true. That is true. A loss is a loss is a loss is a loss. But speaking of losses, before I take another one, before I have another crash, if you guys have any more questions or comments that you want to get in as part of the conversation, I'll take them for a few more minutes. If you don't have any, I'll go ahead and jump off and consider this as a win. because I only had one crash today. Only had one crash. All right. So I'll give you a couple. I'll give you a couple seconds. Anybody that wants to get anything in, we'll go ahead and talk about that. But like I said, if not, we'll go ahead and end it off on one crash. My computer seems to be. It's not running hot. It's slightly warm. It's tepid. It's tepid right now. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Appreciate everybody for hanging out, stopping by, chilling out with your boy. What's today? So I won't be here tomorrow. That's my schedule. So tomorrow is Thursday for you. Today is Thursday for me. So tomorrow is Friday for me. And my Fridays, my Fridays are pretty hectic. So I will not be back tomorrow, but I will be back on my Saturday, which is your Friday, and we will get into all of the rookie mini camp stuff. I will continue to put out videos, clips of the shows and new videos of content that I didn't cover and things of that nature as we try to head on back to 1,000 subscribers. Bottom line, Lions are kings of the North. Facts, big facts, big facts. So very quickly, the thing that I saw on Good Morning Football was basically they were asked to rank their NFC North. The first guy, now I don't know any of their names other than Kyle Brandt. The first guy ranked the Lions as number 1. The second guy, Willie something, he ranked the Lions as number 2 behind the Packers. And then Kyle Brandt went the gorilla versus 100 men route, and he was like, who would win in a fight? He was like, the Packers, that's just a meat packer. They're not winning any fights. The Vikings, yeah, they're good, but they're humans. And then he was like, Google something believes that the African lion would beat a bear in a fight. So the Lions were number 1. But he was like, this is just who could win in a fight. I believe he thinks the Lions are number 1. Anyway, so the other guy, the reason that he gave, it was Jordan Love. Which I was like, that's crazy, because Jordan Love got swept by the Lions last season. And I think based on their drafts, okay, they got a wide receiver for the first time in 17 years in the first round. Based on their drafts, you know, I don't think that they did too much. And we can do a show where we can break down the NFC North and what they did. And what we think our rankings are going to be and all these things. So yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing that after the rookie mini camp, we'll probably go ahead and get into that. So Friday we'll do another preview of the rookie mini camp. Saturday and Sunday I will release some videos about, you know, the news coming out of the rookie mini camp. Monday we can talk about the rookie mini camp, what happened, who did what, whatever the case may be. Hopefully we don't talk about any injuries. And then, yeah, from there, like the next show, we can talk about the NFC North, what their drafts were, what their offseason moves were, what your expectations are for the Detroit Lions. I have a feeling that everyone is going to pick the Detroit Lions to win the NFC North again, which until you knock us off as the 2-time defending champions, you've got nothing to say. In order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, we are the man. So shout out Flying Hawaiian, who said, bottom line, the Lions are the kings of the North and also the kings of the jungle. Welcome to the jungle! I don't know the lyrics. I just know that part. All right. Motor City Cats are back at it. We came to give you stats, not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic, because there's no other way to keep it. You know, there's no other way to keep it. You got to keep it real. Anyway, we are out of here. Peace.